Hello, it's 2021, first midweek message of the year, and looking back and thinking and pondering and reflecting over 2020. I was sick for a few days there with a cold, resting, looking, thinking, poking, prodding, and looking into 2021 and trying to be hopeful. And I started to process a little about 2020. And you do this. This is a natural thing. I mean, years happen. There's seasons. And I ended up in Ecclesiastes multiple times in the past 7 days with people, just in different conversations and settings, and talking about these different seasons. And I wonder if we can put 2020 in a "it was a season" category. And what kind of season was it for you? Let me share with you in Ecclesiastes 3. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Social distancing, maybe? I don't know. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. Now there's so many different ways and you can pick these apart, but I just want to take the general theme here of Ecclesiastes over 2020. And I just feel like 2020, when I look back on my own personal life, and I ask you to do this, take a half hour, take an hour, reflect, write down the positives, the negatives, the things that were here and there. Because right now, there's things that I mourn about 2020. There's also things that I find joy. I'm sitting in the Young Life basement club room. It's been empty since March with no kids in it. I mourn that. But I also know that there's seasons and things change and stuff happens, and I get that. I mourn just the fact that people have been sick, have died, that families have been stretched, the unknown of COVID and its effects on people. There's just so many things around that. I mourn a country divided. I mourn the pain that happens sometimes over political natures. I mourn the racial tensions. These are things that I feel. I mourn sickness. I mourn so many things, but yet at the same time, I feel so joyful. I mean, I've watched things change in my own family. My own career life got changed around without me even trying. I rejoice in the fact that people are getting outside more. I rejoice and I'm hopeful for relationships that as things got squashed, you start to reach out and get creative and people know that they're loved and cared for. See, church, I'm sharing this with you because I think at some point in time, we have to move on. And the year is a great mark for us to move forward. I think when we look at 2020 and we put it behind us, we can start looking forward into the future and start asking the Lord to cast vision, to bring us hope, to look at ourselves from the inside outward and say, where am I going with you and with you? So in 2021, what are some of your hopes and dreams? What are you focusing on in 2021 as a year mark? If you live in Pennsylvania, there's 4 different seasons. What's your winter going to look like? What's your spring? What's your summer? What's your fall? Planning can bring such joy. And I believe that when you look at Ecclesiastes and you look at these different times, they're antis, right? Tearing and mending. embracing and not embracing. You could go through. And there are these ebbs and flows to life. But we have to ask the question as people of God, are we open to what the Holy Spirit wants from us? Take time to reflect. Share those reflections with friends. Do they agree with you? Don't they agree with you? Look into your own life. Take a moment to have some gratitude over 2020. Take that moment to look into your everyday life and where do you see the Lord at in it? Because I believe this, as you start out your new year, it's your choice. It's your choice to soar or your choice to sit. But at the end of the day, I believe the Lord wants us to sail with Him and to sail in the gusts of the Holy Spirit. So my prayer for you and blessing to you is this: go forth and enjoy your life with God. Find those things that energize you. Mend those fences that need to be mended. If you have bitterness, work through it. We're here for you. Feel free to email at sroth@llomc.org. And thank you so much for watching and listening. Feel free to share this stuff. Feel free to talk to me about anything you need to talk about. Comments are always welcome. Drop an email. But I just want you to know that in 2021, you're loved. Not by God, but by me and others in the body of the Christ. And we want to make sure that you feel connected this year and that you feel supported and that you feel encouraged. Go in peace and be a light into the darkness.